All my favorite songs are slow and sad. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Welcome to the Sad Song Queens podcast, where we dive deep into the songs that make us cry. I'm Laura Webb.
And I'm Lindsay Wolfington.
Today we are talking with Keaton Henson about his song Past It.
Keaton Henson is an English musician, composer, poet, and visual artist. Across 7 studio albums, multiple poetry collections, and visual art exhibited worldwide, Henson has built a body of work that feels emotionally unfiltered and honest. His music is often sparse and vulnerable, but he has also created larger-scale works, including the symphonic 6 Lethargies for string orchestra, which explores mental illness and trauma, as well as scores for films and ballet.
Resistant to public life, Henson lets his songs, poems, and drawings speak for him, offering listeners an intimate window into grief, isolation, and the softest forms of hope. He has been called a melancholic king and has many devastating songs that we could have discussed. But ultimately, we picked one from his new album, Parader. It's called Past It, and we look forward to learning more about it with Keaton today.
So grab those tissues and let's get into it, because we all need a good cry. And now, Past It by Keaton Henson.
I don't want the drama of no one else. I'm happy on the shelf, leaking memories. Besides, I don't think there's anyone desperate or dumb enough to go on a run with me. Do I really have any business now singing this song and sounding like I did when I was 18? Ain't it embarrassing now to see someone who looks like me feeling sorry on TV? I don't mind the boredom, I just get to thinking that ain't good for no one. I don't mind the aging, you get used to sinking if it happens slow. Oh, who in the hell is still listening? Do you really care what a mess I'm in this time? I was a name in chalk outside, past it, wasted, tired. I'm a whole new set of anxieties. It got the best of me when I sold all my baby teeth. It's not a mystery why I can't sleep. I'm an Ativan away from losing myself in me. And I can be forgotten. I don't care about that anymore. And I don't mind the waiting. Just look at all the sunsets I've endured. And I don't mind the boredom, I just get to thinking, and that ain't good for no one. And I don't mind the aging,
It's so good.
Welcome, Keaton.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And just for the record, we are listening and we care, and we think it matters. So
Oh, good. Thank you. Okay.
you're here in the perfect place. So
Okay. Great. That's sort of terrifying to know, but also good to know.
Aw.
I was just grooving over here. I really, really like this song. And ironically, it actually made me really happy this morning. Obviously you have so many sad songs to pick from, and we listened to a bunch of them, but we were like, let's check out the new album. What's on there? And I think lyrically this song really spoke to us. And it's like lush and just like feels good. And then we were also, I really liked the production on it, so I went and I was like, oh, view credits, who produced this? And I was like, Luke Siddall Singh, we know him. We love him and adore him.
And he's been on the podcast too.
Has he?
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to be much more, I imagine he was much more charming than I'll be.
No, not at all.
He was like episode 4, so you're getting like a much more seasoned here from us.
Okay.
But obviously lovely and so fun to see like two people we love working together.
Yeah, he did an amazing job. But it's really interesting. Yeah, I feel the same way. I was sort of like, I was really surprised. But I think I was surprised that, because I don't see this as that sad. But then I was like, I think I'm just really numb to my own self-loathing, that this to me feels like so tame compared to like previous some of my stuff. I think sometimes I write stuff and I'm like, that's a bit too sad to release, whereas this one I was like, it feels fun, but I think Luke really pushed that with his production. It's really groove. It has a real groove, and it kind of, maybe it sneaks the sad in slightly.
Yeah.
Maybe also it's sort of, I think, because it's something Lindsay and I talked about also, like, we're aging. And so there's like this nostalgia, or maybe it's just that obviously we're applying our own feelings and what we feel with aging. And it feels like you're really encapsulating that feeling. And we thought that was kind of an interesting conversation too. Like you looking back on your career, it seems, or we can dive in into our theory if you want.
Yeah, I thought the song felt like reflections on getting older, as well as being older and still being creative. Like, who's still listening? Do I really have any business now singing this song and sounding like I did when I was 18? Obviously, you have the lyric, I don't mind the aging. You get used to sinking. I love...
You don't mind the boredom?
Maybe. No, it was before. Yes. What the chord change? Are you also predicting my chord change, love, Laura? Yeah. I'm always like, what's that chord that like gets me in the heart? And I think that change in that part I really, really loved.
Cheat
and then
chords.
I actually, what do you call it?
Like cheat chords. Sometimes certain chords feel like cheating.
What? Why? Because you just know they're gonna work.
Yeah, like if you can make someone feel really sad with like 2 chords, then that's really impressive to me. But like, sometimes I know there's certain chords that it's a human thing. Just like,
what is the chord?
Oh, I'm not clever enough to know. I can play it and go, that's a cheat chord. Like, but I'm not very theory. I've somehow managed to write orchestral music and stuff without becoming theory. I don't know how.
I'm obviously not theory either, so I'm like, I always feel this certain way on like little changes, and I think you know exactly what I'm talking about, and we have like some friends who are songwriters who'll be like, oh, that's a B or a G, but like I don't, nobody's given me the answer. I need to know.
I think
not that I could play it for you.
I would say it's because it's all relative. I think it's more about payoff. I think as humans, if you can set up an expectation in any art form, there is catharsis in it eventually paying off, and the longer you can hold out from, I don't know if this applies to this song, but this is definitely something I think a lot about, especially when I'm composing. If you can set up an expectation, you can put something in the music that tells people something is coming. The longer you can hold that back, the more it will emotionally impact when this makes it sound like I write songs in a very manipulative way, which I don't. I actually just let them fall out. But I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that idea, and I think like, a lot of I always think about. I don't massively connect with like a lot of Baroque music or like Mozart and stuff, because they arrive too often. And do you know what I mean? Whereas like
that makes a lot of sense.
Beethoven would make you wait like 5 minutes before he arrived, and it just hits so much harder. Anyway,
I love that, because like part of what I was feeling as I was like, I was happy listening to it, was that like the angst of it felt so good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's right. So that the payoff was working, and I think that's part of the reason Laura and I love sad songs, is because sometimes the hurt feels so good.
Yeah,
and there's
sure.
different kinds of hurt, right? This feels a little bit more like reflection and angst and mood, right?
I guess like adult angst, which is like it's sort of almost a contradiction in terms. Like that's a rare thing, adult angst. But I've somehow managed to hold on to my angst.
Us too.
into my age.
That's so funny. I think we've coined a new phrase.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too.
Because for a lot of people, I think at some point it just becomes anguish. But,
let's hope not.
Yeah, but I think like that. I don't know. To me, maybe angst implies that certain level of like magic. There's of like magical thinking, and I think when you're like, the reason teenage angst is such a thing is I think that you are delivered the emotions, but they don't have the full weight yet, so you still see them within a magical space. So like I think that's what makes angst, maybe.
Yeah, like, well, yeah, when we're teenagers, there's like infinite possibilities. What's our future going to be? And now we're,
seasoned. We're seasoned.
I'm not even doing the math on that. But anyway, and it's sort of like, oh, was it the life I pictured? Oh, I'm still here. And that you're like still writing songs about the same things. Like, I feel like I'm like, I don't think I've evolved. I mean, I have evolved, but I don't feel that much different from when I was in high school in some ways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm kind of gathering from. Yeah.
I love the lyrics. Past it, wasted, tired, because I can relate.
Well, exactly.
And then your lyrics about like anxieties and Ativan to get away from yourself. And then the lyric, look at all the sunsets I've endured.
I love that line so much. I love it.
Right? Well, it's like, look at all the sunsets I've lived a long time, but endured too is like, oh, it hasn't been easy for you.
It's quite a dark line.
All that stuff. Yeah.
But I kind of have hope in it too. Like I actually wrote because I love that line, but it's also, because sunsets are so beautiful, and it's sort of turning it like, I've actually been around to see these sunsets. I've been fortunate to see it too. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. No, for sure. I think that's accurate.
There's like a drop of hope in it. Like it's not been easy, but I'm here. I'm still standing. And I think that's kind of what made me misty, in my own life. Like, wow, yeah, okay. I've shown up. I've been here. I've done it. Right? So I love that phrase so much. Yeah.
Good. I think so. I think that a drop of hope is a great way of thinking. I think that's what I wanted to put in this whole record. I think like maybe the older I've got, the more I've felt that's necessary. And quite often, even if like something is incredibly bleak, like I've never been someone to sort of write songs about everything's going to be okay, or to say like this is what's on the other side of this. But I guess in later records, I want to say there is something on the other side. I don't know what it is, but like, so it's like it's a small glimmer of light. I think is really important in making these songs like listenable, apart from anything. But I don't want them to just sort of to be something to wallow in. It should be like a cathartic moment with the awareness that there is something on the other side, maybe.
Yeah, I think that comes across. Like I even think at like 3:10, 3:12, when the maybe it's a cheat chord, but as long as I'm living, I may as well write it down. But that, like, with putting my music supervisor hat on, I was like, oh, this would be such the montage of like things are dark, and then they woke up and they're like starting their new life or cleaning or whatever. I was like, oh, that's the perfect moment. I was, and I love it just as being a listener too. I loved that moment too.
Oh, nice, good. Yeah, that's. I think that is the moment where, like, I think there's so much questioning myself and like my right to be doing this, and yeah, if there's any point, or if anyone's listening, and all of these questions, and I think that's the point at which I just sort of thought to myself, like, if I'm going to be here and enduring these sunsets, I might as well write down what it feels like to me, and it doesn't really matter if anyone else is hearing it or not.
Like, as you age, some of that, like, oh, I want everyone to like me, or some of those, especially, I'm sure, being an artist and having your art viewed publicly, I think that's like growth, that you're like, okay, I'm putting it out there, so be it, right? I'm showing up as me, which is very inspiring.
Yeah, having said that, I do want everyone to like me still.
Yeah,
Please.
I mean,
Come on,
yeah,
people.
it's really hard to not turn that off. We're people pleasers too, so.
Not love, but at least like.
Like.
Yeah,
Sure. Yeah, of course. Was that something in the beginning years? Was that a really hard struggle of the being the artist out there and wanting everyone to love you?
I actually, yeah. I mean, I'm sort of, I'm semi being serious. Like, I think I actually don't. I don't really want to know. I think I'd like to have a vague sense that everybody likes me, but I don't want to know about it. Like, I find, that is something that I haven't actually aged. Having said, like, I'm saying that on a podcast, which is something that I would ordinarily not find easy. But, like, I haven't really aged out of my sort of allergy to attention. So yeah, that is something that has always been really difficult, and I think a lot of my music is exploring this idea of, I love doing this, I love this art form, and I love that this is how I spend my days. But the other side of it, which is almost the payoff for a lot of people, I find really difficult to reconcile. Like, I don't like being looked at, and if I could have it in a perfect world, I think I would like the only thing anyone knows about me to just be my songs. So yeah, I've always found that difficult, and I think there is a touch of that in this song, just sort of like, how am I still doing this? Considering how much I hate being looked at and things like. So yeah, that's part of what I'm questioning, I think.
We were, looking around, and I saw that you had done some covers in 2022, and particularly you had a cover of Anti-Hero, the Taylor Swift song, that got a lot of attention on social media. Knowing that you're reticent to, like, be public, and it's hard to be public facing as an artist, has social media or the internet made that easier because you can be public without being in the room with hundreds of people?
I guess, but it's also, there's an expectation for me to engage to a different level. So, like, and that's something I just don't really do. So I know that was, like, I genuinely have no idea that that's done well on social media. Like,
the internet told me so.
Well, that's great.
Yeah,
I just ignore it all. So we took requests, and someone requested that song, so I, like, did a quick cover, sent it over, the record label uploaded it, and I can just, like, be outside and ignoring it. So I think it's really, but that has become harder and harder, but for me, it's like a really important part of maintaining the purity of the catharsis of what I do, which is why I do it. And I think if I was thinking I really have to do quite a lot of work at this point to like ignore the room full of people that are going to hear the song and just pretend that I'm in a vacuum, in order to maintain the catharsis, that process.
Right. Like just making it for you and only you, and then putting it out, and then hopefully people like it.
Yeah. Like, and I think the thing that's been difficult for me, not to turn you into my therapist, but like,
no, we love it.
is the my brain for some reason finds it very difficult to differentiate between a negative and positive attention. So like, if somebody, I find it, I'm frightened by attention, whether it's positive or not. So if somebody, if somebody comes up to me and tells me how much my music has meant to them, like I find it frightening, and I also can't fathom it. I literally can't fathom it. Sometimes I try really hard. I just sit there thinking but the idea that it actually has meant anything to anyone, I find really difficult to get my head around. But in these like recent years, I have felt like I'm not suddenly like I've really helped people, but just I feel I feel a massive sense of gratitude that people have continued listening even though I'm ignoring them. Like it's a really like I find that the people that listen to my music, it's an incredibly benevolent relationship in which they allow me to just ignore, just to do it for myself and sort of be selfish about the way I write songs. I'm really grateful for that. So I feel like real gratitude, not sort of Instagram gratitude, like real, really truly grateful.
Yeah, that your fans are loyal and stick with you, and that's a great thing.
Yeah,
like just on this podcast, we ask people our favorite their sad songs, and Novo Amor, I don't know if you're aware of his music, and Anna of the North, who's from Norway, who's a lovely singer. So Novo Amor picked his as "You Don't Know How Lucky You Are."
Oh wow.
And Anna of the North had "Sweetheart, What Have You Done to Us?" And they waxed poetic about your craftsmanship. Novo Amor said, "You need to have Keaton on." And we're like, oh, I know. And then with Luke, it just feels very synergistic. But actually, because Novo Amor, who also really struggles with being like seen and touring and all that, I emailed his manager last night and just said, "Do you have a question you wanted to ask Keaton?" So if I can paraphrase really quickly, but so he saw you perform in Cardiff in 2017 for the Festival of Voice, and he said that show was amazing, and he noticed you felt uncomfortable and all that, and he said that he really took comfort in that. Like, he doesn't know how you felt about that show, but he said, "I was in the early stages of playing shows, feeling extremely uncomfortable on stage, wishing it was an easier thing to do, or that I naturally had it in me to talk in front of people." And he said, without thinking it's going to be a flawed representation of what I was making alone in my bedroom. But to see someone I looked up to struggle to be in the position I was slowly moving myself into was grounding. To see somebody maybe not feel as confident as we're all meant to do, this job helped me realize that it's less about perfection and more about showing up as you are as an individual. My mind slowly shifted from maybe this isn't for me to this is me, and maybe that's all it needs to be. Wow. And he said, "Anyway, 9 years on and many tours under my belt has boosted my confidence and abilities beyond my expectations. My question is, 9 years on, how do you feel about that show, performing, making music in general now compared to then?" And then he said, "The new music is really cool, by the way."
Oh, that's really
so we've just made you extremely uncomfortable by giving you all the praise.
I know.
No, that's really nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
But that you really helped an artist, a fellow artist who respects you and just,
and I feels similarly.
Yeah.
No, that's really nice. I feel like it's been such a long time since that show, and I apart from anything, I am no less terrified and play way less shows. So I just sort of almost feel like he's just rubbing it in that he can now do tours. Yeah.
Way to go, Allie.
Yeah, thanks a lot. That side of things has yeah, being physically in a space and performing has almost got harder. But I'm sort of astonished at what I have managed to do. Like when I think about shows like that, and like I've played some huge rooms, and I don't quite know how. Like I used to try. I would almost just do one a year, and it would just be like it would take everything to get to that day, and then to get through that hour on stage. And yeah, I think the way I feel about it now is looking back, it's like I don't know how I was doing that. But maybe it's just
you've endured many sunsets.
I've endured a lot of sunsets, and some of them in front of like thousands of people, which is wild. And I think because I think sometimes I can be down on myself for not getting better at it, but if someone else was able to see me do that, and that did make them feel like they could get better at it, then that's almost enough for me at this point. That's a really that would be a really amazing thing to know that somebody. I guess it's that very simple sort of, that person is the fact that I wasn't hiding the fact that I was like dying of it, but I was currently doing it. So maybe that if that told someone that it was possible, then that's really nice.
I think even just listening to your music is that we really connect, and it's the moments when you're really truly honest and vulnerable. Those are the moments that we really connect. Like I really feel for you as a person listening. Like I want to give you a hug, Keaton.
That's nice. Yeah, I think that's like it's like, I guess we'll get when we talk about my favorite sad songs and stuff. But like the thing when I would think about the people that I loved growing up, the thing I always come back to is like it was always honest. So like quite a lot of the people I love musically, they're quite flawed, whether as song like they're the people they sing as, or they're just I've always connected with honesty. So I think like the idea of pretending I was like a confident rock star person like would just be I couldn't. I know people who they can just like embody that. It would just not be in my nature.
I feel like there's room for all of it. Like I'm sure anyone who's a fan of your music or most people are fine if you want to hang out in your cabin and not talk to people, but you make great music. That's fine. That's your thing, right? Like, and then there are other people where you hear their album and it's not the same as the live show, and you're like, oh, I wish they could bottle the live show better, you know? And
so really,
there's room for all of it.
Totally. And there are artists I know that I've been in the room with, and it's an amazing thing that there are certain people where I'm like, you have to physically be in the room with that person's voice, or it's wild. Like some of my, I have the privilege of being in a living room with them, but when you're with when you're in the room when the staves are singing, it's like you cannot capture it. There is no microphone that can capture that sound. So I think, being in a room with people is really important. I like being here. Please, thank you.
Good, and that's good. You know that about yourself. That's great.
Yeah, when you have done tours and get up on that stage, what do you do to get through it?
I tried lots of things. I've spent my life trying lots of things. It was just, I guess, like the sort of minutiae of performance became my anchor. So I would just focus on the tiniest detail of performance, and like I was never worried about forgetting my lyrics or some of the stuff that people worry about. Like it was other things. So it was just always just focusing on if I slightly change this, what does that do? I became like microscopic about performance, and that was my coping mechanism, I think.
If we can go back to the song, I actually had a couple of questions about some of the lyrics.
Yes.
So I was so curious about I sold all my baby teeth.
I'm quite curious about that too.
Okay. Well, I was like, first off, is that a literary reference I'm unfamiliar with? But I was like, it's just that like you aged and you lose your baby teeth and there's hope in the tooth fairy. And then, I don't know, like you had this dream and then you are in your advanced age now. Not advanced, but you know what I mean.
I think that's one of those lyrics where like, quite often I'll write a line and be like, I'm pretty sure that means something, but I'll worry about it later.
Okay.
And then maybe a year later I'll go like, oh. And I think it was only listening just then that I thought, I think it's at once, obviously, because we get a coin for our teeth when we're babies, like we're all technically selling them, which is weird.
You're right.
Oh, I hadn't put that together. Okay.
Yeah. So that's like, it's just a strange bit of early commerce for human beings. But I think that for me, I think I'm probably using it as to say I have that it's almost like kind of another way of saying sold your soul, but also I sold my best years. I sold my when I was young, and I was busy selling my soul. It can feel that's how it can feel sometimes. I didn't have a social life or anything because I was just writing, and maybe that feels a bit like I was selling my youth, which is sort of the symbol of that is baby teeth, I guess.
I really like that.
Yeah, I was almost, when we were just listening now, I was like, maybe, because it comes after the I'm a whole new set of anxieties. It got the best of me when I sold all my baby teeth. I was like, maybe he means he became anxious once he became a teenager. My view was very simplistic.
And I was a name in chalk outside. Is that like fame's fleeting? That like your idea? Okay. Yeah,
I think so. Like, it's a weird thing. I really wish I'd maybe used a different name, because it's such a strange thing for your name, my personal name, to be a thing that can like erode.
Right.
So it's like a strange thing that like, I don't know. I think I've always found that a really strange thing, and like I quite often like think I'm kind of sick of like hearing my own name, but it's just my name that I use in my life as well. So I think it's this idea that you've like written your name in chalk in some sort of grand declaration of your existence, but as soon as it rains, then it'll be gone.
Right. I have like an imagery of like a band poster, and then they put the glue over it, you know?
Yeah, nice, yeah.
Good job, Laura. I had totally different, more simplistic. Well, I was just like, the idea of name in chalk outside, I was like thinking of kids drawing in chalk, like on the sidewalk. And so I was like, maybe that's like a symbol of youth, but then also it gave an image of the chalk outline around a dead body or like riding the line between like youth and death, which is kind of what some of the song is about too. So that's obviously I had, middle age. That's my overarching thought for this.
No, song. I think, all correct. I'll accept all of those.
Okay, thank you.
Or take credit. I'll take credit for all of those.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Professor Keaton. Thank you.
I know.
Does your sweater have elbow patches too right now?
It doesn't, no.
Oh man.
Sorry.
You're like with your cabin.
No, it would have fit with the aesthetic.
So, and one more question I had, like you get used to sinking. Is that like because our bodies shrink as we get older? You know how we like all get smaller? Interesting.
That I hadn't thought of that, but I think that was more the kind of boiled frogs thing. Age feels like it's it happens so slowly that it doesn't bother you until it does.
Right.
It's not like it's not a trauma. It's sinking sand. Slowly over time, you get used to it. You don't even notice yourself. I would think I was thinking sinking sand, I guess. But it's definitely like I was just trying to avoid talking about boiling frogs. but it's that analogy.
I can't
Got
wait
it.
for your next song called Boiling Frogs.
Boiling frogs.
Yeah. Lobsters in a lobster pot.
Yeah, or lobsters, yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious, what do you think some of your saddest songs are like that you've created?
So, I mean, there's a song called Prayer, which is about, well, it's about grief. But I think to me, that was pretty sad. And there's a song on that same record, Monument, which is like a grief record. So a lot of it is pretty sad. But well, it depends, because so when they asked me to come up with a list for you guys, I was like, oh, there's so many categories of sad. So I feel like I've basically spent my career trying to write all the different, put something in each of the categories. And I think like there's a song called Grand Old Reason on that record, which is I would put in the like not okay sad, like I'm not like I'm not going to listen to that right now kind of sad songs.
Right.
I think like it's really just me staring the realities of death and illness like head on, and it's so I think that's that category. But I think prayer, there's a lot of catharsis in prayer, and it's kind of bittersweet. It's just about this idea of, it's just as simple as that there's so much to be said about grief, but I think for prayer, I just wanted to capture that essentially it just comes down to like, oh no, they're gone. Like
Right.
and it wasn't that song particularly wasn't even that wasn't even they're gone, like they're about to be, or they're going.
Right.
So I think that's pretty sad. And then it's got a recording of my dad saying my name on it, which a few people have told me is cheating.
No,
it is definitely cheating.
no.
Like it's but that makes it very poignant for me. And then I think there's a song of mine called No Witnesses, which I think is like one of my favourite songs of mine, and that's, I guess,
Yeah.
more romantic, sad. Yeah, I kind of stopped writing. I feel like when I look back at my stuff, I'm surprised by how quickly I stopped writing romantic songs and started writing about other forms of sadness. But No Witnesses is pretty like, it's that romantic sadness.
Was there ever a time that you thought, this is too sad, I'm not going to put it out? You couldn't even go there and record it or sit in it?
Yeah, Grand Old Reason it's because it's about my dad, and he was still here, and I thought, can you talk so boldly and brutally about someone's death before they've gone? It just felt so rude. I actually this is a really terrible name drop, but Philip Selway from Radiohead played on that record, and
Okay.
I played him that song, and I had that conversation with him, and he, as a father, and he said, if one of my children wrote me that song, like I would want them to show it, to like, I would be incredibly proud that song is, so like I think he is genuinely the only reason that I actually did put that out, because it just felt rude.
Right. I know what you mean. I lost my dad to Alzheimer's, so
Right.
I lost him twice.
Yeah.
And there was a year of him being in hospice, and it was so, I mean, talk about like to get through things, and like the dark humor got me through, because people be like, how is your dad? And I'd be like, well, he's still dying.
Yeah.
Which does feel rude, but my dad would be the first to laugh at that too, right?
Yeah, mine
like,
too. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and I know, and there is that weird space in between, and you're like, yeah, how am I supposed to answer this? So
Yeah.
I relate to that, and
It's a strange thing.
He'd be glad you did, I'm sure. So
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, like he did. Yeah, it's a strange thing to be like. It's almost like in certain situations you start grieving before that person's gone. I think that's what that is.
Yeah.
And there's a really
Yeah.
simple sort of lyrical device in it that I didn't even know I was doing, but that I've realized I love in other songs, where like a banal phrase, you just, if you set it against some certain chords, or if you set it up against certain music, it stops being banal and starts meaning something else. So like there's a Velvet Teen song. I don't know if you know the band Velvet Teen.
We're huge Anglophiles. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a band called Velvet Teen, and they do. There's a song called "All Is Illusory," and there's a line, "Oh, I thought you were someone else," and I feel like that could be a very banal phrase, like that you bump into someone in the street and you think it's someone, and you're like, oh, sorry, I thought you were someone else. But set against that music, it means something different in this context, and the phrase "Speak up, I'm losing you" is the chorus of Prayer, and it could be an incredibly banal phrase on the phone when the signal is cutting out. So I just really like you just put certain chords behind it, and it becomes immediately clear that it's not a phone call. It's like you're saying, like, say something. We don't have long, kind of thing. Yeah.
I think those are some of the most poignant lyrics that, to your point, like when something simple and not very meaningful has so much, becomes so meaningful and has so much weight to it. Kind of to what both of you were saying as you were talking about, your grief record, like, is the anticipatory grief more painful than the post-loss grief sometimes?
Yeah, both tough.
They're both tough in different ways, I suppose. Yeah, but I found that there was a shock to the final grief, the actual someone's gone, that is almost, it's like ice water or something. There's something bracing about it. But it was like this slow, again, like the sinking sand thing, this slow thing felt heartbreaking in a way that just throws you completely out of reality in a weird way.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And it'll sneak up on you still, too. Like it's a weird one.
Yeah.
It doesn't ever go away. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Speaking of some of your other sad songs, I came across You, which is also one of your more popular songs, and I thought that was a close runner-up for the podcast. And then I also really love the instrumental stuff you've done.
Beautiful.
The whole Romantic Works album, but especially Earnestly Yours. You say the word catharsis a lot, and the way it built and built and built, it hits emotionally, right? It gives you that cathartic feeling. And then just like piano and cello, like, why is that magic sad sauce, Yeah,
it is. Yeah, cello is cheating too.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. What is it about the cello that's cheating?
It's the resonance.
I feel like we speak the same language. I love this.
Yeah, I think if you want me to be super nerdy about it, because the piece that the orchestral piece I wrote after Romantic Works, the next orchestral thing I wrote was Six Lethargies for String Orchestra, which is like this large scale sort of concerto. And for that I did a lot of I spent time with neuroscientists and studying like that question, like why does that do that? And I think cello lives in this very specific resonance. Like the thing that I basically found fascinating is that there is something in us that is universal, that most cultures in the world will understand, that a high sound that is bouncy and goes up is joy, and it sounds a bit like a baby, like a happy baby. And that a lower sound that descends, that like glissendos down, like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, is we all just understand to be sad. And I guess the cello is the closest thing to Eeyore in the orchestra. But a cello can sit within that register of of sadness, and it can glissando, like really, it can gliss really beautifully and have that mournful sort of
Like a wailing, almost like a...
yeah. I think
Oh.
it doesn't have the kind of, yeah, it doesn't have that like, yeah, I mean, you can make a violin sound incredibly sad, but there's something about the cello that definitely does a thing.
Yeah, the register of it. It also like it almost hits more in the gut
Yeah.
because it's lower. Like
Yeah.
I wonder if there's like if someone were doing like chakra sound bath,
Yeah.
if that were related or something. I heard that during the Six Lethargies performance, a portion of the audience had their reactions monitored with like biometrics and to like
Yeah.
look at the emotional, resonance of the piece. So like that sounds like exactly what we're fascinated with. Like why
Yeah.
do certain sounds in music make us feel a certain way? And you oh, Winnie. She's like, stop being so sad, Mom.
Oh my God, I know. I was trying not to because she was doing her rolling and she just like rolled off. Oh, are you okay, babe?
She seems
Oh,
fine.
she full on rolled off. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
The cool thing was that the audience were hooked up to these galvanic skin response monitors, but it wasn't just to see, it was like they controlled the lighting rig, so their anxiety levels or arousal levels controlled the lighting rig.
Wow.
So we were also
Meaning it made it go like
brighter,
darker if they were.
brighter, redder, and the lights turned into their eyes more.
When they were feeling anxious.
Yeah.
So you made them more anxious when they felt anxious. Okay.
Yeah. We had a really nice room upstairs. The Barbican gave us a whole floor with like bean bags and calming lights, and people could go and chill if they needed to, and quite a few people did. But it was exploring like the feedback loop of anxiety, that like sometimes the more anxious you feel, the more it's a loop, and we were playing with that. But I just also love the idea of controlling the lighting rig with emotion.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
That's fascinating. Do you think you'd ever do that again, or?
Yeah, I'd love to.
I'd be fascinated by that.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was like one of the most sort of profound things I've done. I think, like, again, in that way that I find it very difficult to engage with the audience, like, but that was the first time I've been in them. I was just sitting in the audience, and what was really amazing was that across the board we had so many people writing in saying that they had gone with that they have mental health issues or anxiety issues, and they'd gone with a partner who doesn't, and that it was their partners who had to leave, and it was the people who have anxiety. A lot of them said they just started crying because it just like it was familiar. It wasn't like, it's not a scary thing, and that a lot of people said they could leave and then say, the reason I didn't feel like I needed to leave during that is because that's kind of how I feel like once a day or like twice
Wow.
a day. That was cool. That was really cool. It was like a spoiler, but there's a moment where there's no sound. The orchestra are not playing. They're directed to not allow their bow to touch the string. And then gradually, and people just started crying during the silent bit, which I just like was like amazing. Just like there was this silence, and lots of people just felt it was familiar, and they started crying. It was amazing. So, yeah.
You were sitting in the crowd when this was all happening too, experiencing it with them?
Having a little panic attack, yes, yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Was anxiety the only emotion you were playing to? Or
No,
testing?
so that was the only one that it's very easy to read. So the middle movement, if anyone's wanting to listen to it, you can just skip the middle movement and you'll be fine. That sort of explores anxiety, and then there's lots of different there's like a depression movement and stuff. So but anxiety is easy to physically read from your fingertips.
And depression was less easy to read?
Yeah, I think it's harder to, I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't manifest in any like quick physical.
Was the depression one Did that change the lights too?
We just changed the lights on that one. I think it's really dark and blue. We had this big orb in the middle of the stage that was like this sort of that was like this big mood orb.
What were the other? So depression, anxiety. What other moods did you?
Is that
explore?
what the 6 are? Is like the six that they do?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're like 6 stages of like just of thing of a kind of pattern. It was very autobiographical. It's just kind of trying to express this pattern of so it's not sort of necessarily clearly defined, but the anxiety attack movement is followed by God, what's it called? I can't even remember what the movement's called, but it's the second to last movement is like the kind of the depression that comes after kind of thing.
I think it's interesting that when people cried, that they cried because feeling anxious was familiar. They cried when there was space, when there was no music, maybe almost like there was relief. It's like I don't really know. It was like a thing where there's the anxiety movement begins with silence and an orchestra all not playing, and then gradually the sound comes very, very slowly. And there was just something about that, like the silence. I think maybe they had programs so the audience like knew that was this was the anxiety movement beginning, and maybe that there was something about the silence and the kind of the cognitive dissonance of seeing an entire orchestra playing but not hearing anything, and like that loss of reality and things. There was just something. It was I'm not entirely sure. And that came at the beginning of it. I was picturing it at the end of it.
No, it starts with silence, and then the idea is again. Essentially, it sounds like it's making it sound like my whole career has just been doing the same thing. But it's about like that. It's that slow. It's the boiling frogs thing. That essentially that it starts in silence, and the idea is that I wanted the end of that movement to be cacophonous, like and just relentless. But at no point do you notice that happening. It should start in absolute silence and it should end there. But the orchestra has to do. It's really difficult for them, but they have to turn the dial up so slowly that you don't notice it happening.
And I think I'm fascinated by this. So the people who stayed that tend to be anxious to begin with tended to cry as it built and built. And then the people who left, did they cry?
They got anxious and they couldn't deal with it and they had to leave. So we had this calm room upstairs, and it was full of people who didn't have anxiety issues, and a lot of like partners of people who'd come with people and weren't used to sitting through it and just having to sit through it. So they were just like, why? They were quite understandably like, I've paid money for this, why would I sit through this? I'm going to go away and I'll come back when they're playing sad music. So yeah, but it was a fascinating thing, and I'm making the music sound a lot more unpleasant than it is. I think that's it's a listenable record, but it was a sort of social. It was an amazing social atmosphere.
And maybe that really inspired a conversation between the two people of, oh, now you can feel. Yeah. I feel like that's just a Tuesday for me, you know, like
exactly.
That's really, really fascinating. I developed. I mean, I'm sure I was always an anxious person, but I definitely had high anxiety when my dad was sick, and Lindsay knows all this, and I had my first anxiety attack, which I learned is different than panic attacks, and I didn't know, that it manifested different, and it was very eye-opening, and it's been very interesting as how to deal with it, and learning coping techniques and stuff. And it was weird to not have control of your body. Like, that is just the weirdest feeling.
Yeah. Losing control of your body and sort of, I guess, the counterintuitiveness of sitting in it. Like, is just feels like if I had the Barbican calm room with me at all times, like, it just feels like, why would I not just go lie down up there.
Right.
But sometimes you just have to be in it.
Yeah.
Wait, Laura, what's the difference between an anxiety attack and a panic attack?
For me, there was just I was like over processed, like a computer of like the pinwheel,
Like overwhelmed.
and like for me, I'm sure it's different, but like when you get a chill in your body, it was that, and I just couldn't stop shaking, and I just was, and I not anything I did, I just couldn't stop, and it was just, I had no control over any of my faculties, and then there was just a low level of it until I sought medical help. So yeah, that was for me, but it wasn't the loss of breath or as like what you see in the movies
Copy.
and stuff.
The brown paper bag.
And I think a lot of people think that, and I never knew the difference until I went through it. So yeah.
Just to finish 6 lethargies, I'm like kind of bummed that there wasn't a big sad physiological response.
Yeah, well, I guess
that's what we're here
like,
for.
Like wailing, like just sobbing.
I guess that's just
That's true.
crying, but like it would be awkward to sort of just, I don't know how you would do that, just little cups under all the audience members'
How
eyes.
many
I'm not
tears
sure.
did you-
Just tissues next to each. Yeah, right.
But yeah, it's actually really the anxiety thing is really interesting because it's your fingertips, and it's there's these tiny dilations, and there's 2 forms. There's like the wideness, and then there's also the flickering. It's wild. It's really interesting.
Were the biometrics attached to the fingertips?
Fingertips, yeah.
Oh, wow.
You need to give us the name of your emotion expert.
So his name was Brendan Walker, and he's a thrill engineer. So he works with like, he does a lot of art stuff with like roller coasters and things, but he engineers thrill. He's a fascinating person, and he developed the software with us and stuff for that.
Wow.
Can he engineer anti-thrill, which is sadness?
Yeah, so I guess so. Yeah, so the last movement of lethargies is intended to like, but yeah, maybe he can engineer sadness. But I suppose that just sounds like just me describing my career. But
yeah, I was like, that's for you. That's musicians.
That goes on your business card. Engineer of sadness.
Engineer, yeah.
We've wanted to have a neuroscientist on to really talk about, and I'm actually reading that Susan Cain book, Bittersweet.
Okay.
And it talks about the melancholy and why we're drawn. And I think we find that endlessly fascinating, hence us doing this. So
You've been quoted as being like a thin-skin artist, and that you wouldn't want to be thick-skinned because that allows you the sensitivity to create. Can you talk a little bit about that, and how do you protect yourself also in that process?
I think it's I think that was just a thing that people started saying quite early on in my career. Is the industry, you hear that quite a lot, that you've got to have thick skin to be an artist, and I just always thought like I literally have to like do the opposite of that. My sort of, not my job, but my role as an artist is to feel everything and be hyper aware of it and interpret it and then tell you what that feels like for me. So I think the idea of becoming incredibly confident and like everything is water off a duck's back would feel like calcifying, and that feels unhelpful to my art form. And I think it's something that we tell a lot of people, and I actually just think like you have to protect yourself by not. I just don't read anything
about yourself.
Yeah, I just try to have a very normal life where like the fact that people listen to my music doesn't really occur to me very often, and everyone I spend time with is really uninterested in my music. Awesome. So I think that's what I do. But again, like, you know, if you're playing like, if you're like a rock star, it was probably pretty helpful to have thick skin and to have that confidence. But there's certain artists where I think it's important to be sensitive to everything and not hyper confident in your in yourself.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. That like the artist is somebody who absorbs and reflects.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You're like an antenna.
Speaking of antenna, we've had like a couple people on the podcast who sometimes feel like when a song comes out of them, it's almost like a divine force. And then others don't feel that at all. What's your songwriting
What category
process?
do you fall into? Yeah.
It's an interesting. So I know I have so many artists I know have come up with. Everyone has their own. They come to their own conclusion of what they call that thing. Yeah, I call them receivers and mad scientists. So I think people do tend to be one or the other, but some people can do both. But the thing I always find fascinating is if you look at like the great bands from history, there's usually one of each.
Right.
So Radiohead, I would consider Tom York to be a receiver and Johnny Greenwood to be a mad scientist. I don't know if they would be offended by that, but I would say the Smiths, I think Johnny Marr is a mad scientist. I think Morrissey is a receiver. So
I like this.
yeah, I've always been aware of that. I think I'm I don't quite often I have no idea what I'm doing, and it's about like sort of just feeling around in the dark and keep maintaining the skill, I guess, if there is one, comes from maintaining that naivety and that sense that you don't know what you're doing, because as soon as you think you know what you're doing, it's really hard to receive. So I think you'll also find a lot of artists who start out receiving, and then as soon as they feel like they know what they're doing, they have no choice but to evolve into mad scientists and start learning. That's when, you know, third record, suddenly their production sounds amazing. They've learned all about preamps, and
Right.
I haven't got there yet. But I work quite hard to maintain my naivety, I guess.
I love this. Any other band mad scientist receiver combos like
Sure,
the Beatles?
Well,
I don't know. They both kind of seem like
the Beatles, I
mean,
think, is an
yeah.
example of two receivers of equal kind of ability. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I'm sure. I mean, I think if you think of any like band that has sort of defined a sound, quite often you will find one of them.
I was thinking Queen, Freddie Mercury, mad scientist, like the opposite role this time. Oh, I would think he's kind of mad and that Brian's kind of the receiver.
Mad scientist in the sense that Brian May will tinker, they'll play with, they'll twist the buttons and they'll try a million different iterations of a thing and put some weird chemical into another chemical that just to see what happens. Whereas but I suppose they were both kind of they both did a bit of that. But it's not a hard and fast thing, but quite often you come across great bands. There's someone who will stay awake until 3 a.m. twisting dials on a modular synth, and there's quite often someone who will stumble in at like 11 o'clock the next day, do a vocal take, be like, I thought
that's
of this
like
last night.
that was Liam Gallagher, or Liam. Well, he just show up and sing his
Just
heart
do
out
it.
in one
Yeah.
take. Yeah, where
Yeah.
Noel would be the mad scientist.
Yeah, it's a common thing, and it seems to be a recipe for success. Like someone needs to, once the person has come in and just like purged their thought, that someone else needs to like figure out how to make it make sense for the world and keep trying different iterations of it until it's sort of its purest form.
That's amazing.
So funny. I was just thinking about, in some ways, when music supervisors work with directors, they're a little bit of the receivers, and then we mad scientists tinker away, or the composer does, to figure out what actually
They want.
how do you actually
The essence of
make
what they're
that
trying.
work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Or like, you
Yeah.
tell me a sound you want, I'll tell you which version of that actually works in this scene, or like, what instruments go into this. I mean, Keaton, you're a composer. Do you mad scientist away?
Yes. Yeah. So I think that Lethargies is like, or like when I do film scores, stuff. It's about like having that. It's so hard because you have to do both. So you have to sit and get yourself to a place where like it comes through. Quite often, like, if it's for film, you're like trying to resonate a sound with picture and just letting that happen. And then you have to like dump that toy box out and go through each piece and figure out where they go and start. And then it's a really detailed process. So I when I'm composing, you have to do some of that side of things, but you have to have that initial, you have to receive something to have material to work with, I guess. Yeah.
I like that analogy of dumping the toolbox out, because I feel like every time we start a project, I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah. You just got to make a mess on the floor to figure out what you've got. Yeah.
Well, and sometimes if you work on something where you've built a similar toy, it's easier to transition than when you're like, whoa, we're opening a different toolbox here.
Yes. I also think, like, just because he'll be annoyed if I don't talk about him now, but like that Luke, I feel like there have been times on this record when I've been coming up with an idea, or like something has been coming through, and Luke I have the phrase "stop producing." I just had to keep saying to Luke, "Can you stop producing? I'm coming up with an idea. Just stop producing for a minute." And he would be like getting this weird old tape machine out there and that hasn't worked since the 70s, and like trying to make it work. But we have a very similar, very specific sense of humor, so we were able to, I would say stop producing, and he would say like, I don't want to listen. Don't make me listen to you sing for another. I don't want to hear your ideas. Just like, yeah.
Oh, was that the first time you had worked together, or?
Yeah. I reached out to him, just congratulating him on some production, and I remembered that he was supposed to open for me once, and I think I just chose someone else. I was just like, no, don't like him.
Wow.
No, I don't remember why he didn't end up. But that was how I remembered first coming across this stuff, and then we basically realised that we grew up in the same area and had like very similar background, and that this record was exploring like youth and memories of that time. So I thought it'd be really interesting to explore it with someone who was like round the corner when I was experiencing that.
But you didn't know him then?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's like we just speak the same language, the language of being horrible to each other.
Okay. That's good. Yeah, that's great. That makes good art. No. Yeah. Well, speaking of, would you like to share your favorite sad songs so we don't take up too much of your time?
Sure. Yeah. So this is the hardest question. I think if you'd asked me like my favorite
really
songs, I would find that easier than my favorite sad songs, because
you can tell
the
us
categories. Yeah, there were so many. So there's the not okay songs, like Real Death by Mount Eerie, things like, do you know, like there's like that whole record of Grow Look to Me, like not okay. Like that's like there's that, there's the kind of magical, youthful, sad. I feel like Elliott Smith exists in his own sphere. But so I think I just chose 3 that are like classics, but that have been really in my brain recently. So I'll Be Seeing You, I think, was the first, which is just
by Billie Holiday. I mean, way to go. That's a good one.
It's just and I think again it's a strange thing which like changes with age. So I think when I was younger, it felt like that very romantic I'll be seeing you in all these things because of like a romantic love, and the older I've got, the more I just feel like that person is gone. Like I think that it feels like it feels like such an accurate representation of when someone is no longer with us, and they are. The amount of times I've literally seen a friend and like been absolutely convinced that, and that feeling that like sort of real ghosts, I guess, real life ghosts, that we leave impressions on the people we spend our time with, to the point at which we like burn ourselves into locations and objects. And I think that's a really beautiful thing, but it's also just musically, like it just works every time. And
Talk about chords, like
cheat
that.
chords,
I'll be seeing you. Like,
yeah,
is it
that strange minor.
What? Yeah.
And it feels like one of those songs that's like a true standard, in that every person who sung it brings a completely different. So like there are set for me, like Rosemary Clooney, like when Rosemary Clooney sings it, that does feel romantic to me. When Billy sings it, that has a whole other thing. So like that's what a standard should do for me, is it should have enough ambiguity in it that every version of it, whoever sings it, brings their own, it completely changes the colour of that. So it's hardcore from a sort of pure sadness. It's like
Agreed.
Pure grade sadness.
Bottle it up. Yeah, bottle that one up. Yeah, exactly.
I do have to share too that the fact that it is both romantic and ghostly is like the reason why it works so well in The Notebook, which I had, it's kind of like their song, and then it plays at the end.
Yes,
when
that's true.
The woman passes away.
It needs to be both.
I hadn't seen the movie in ages, and I turned the TV on with my kids, and we only came up on like the last 10, 15 minutes of the movie, and which was a lot of like dialogue, and then suddenly that song kicked in. I literally, like, drop of a pin, like, burst into tears, and my kids they hadn't seen the rest of the movie, so they were like, what's wrong? What just happened? Like, oh my God. But it was like dagger through the heart. Like, it's such a powerful song.
It really is.
Yeah, and I feel like it played during like couples were slow dancing in like several war films, like that were set during like World War II or something, which is when it would have come out. But also just that paired with that, I feel
it has. It's now. I think that's the other thing, is like there's all the different people have sung it and brought their own thing, but it now has an added layer of nostalgia, which is like, so it has this extra color, which is like it sounds like the past, which I don't know whether it always did, like whether when it first came out it had that feeling, but for me now it sounds like the past, which it just makes it more impactful.
Keaton, you're so good about talking about this. You should come be our fellow host on the podcast.
Happy to. I can just sit on the chair behind him and try not to fall off.
Yeah. I know. You already have one up over Winnie, so.
So there was that, and then there was Ruby's Arms by Tom Waits, but specifically the Patty Griffin version of it. And that was about... so this is a very specific thing that I don't think anyone else has captured in song, and that is... so I don't cry, but I have once or twice in my life. And
really? You're just not a weeper?
I can't do it. I really need to try. I'm not very good at it, but like... but when I have, it's... I don't realise it's during a sentence, while saying a sentence that I wasn't expecting to cry during. And I don't know if that's a thing that resonates with anyone, but like the idea of when you just start saying something and you suddenly realise you're crying halfway through saying it. And I think that I'm so astonished by how that is captured in this song, and it's and I think Patty Griffin's just like the delivery of that line brings that home. But it's this very, I think I'm not very masculine, and I think that like I'm always fascinated by the masculinity of Tom Waits as a songwriter. Like masculinity and vulnerability in songwriting is sort of fascinating to me, and how he balances those two things. And I think that there's so much of that stoic traditional masculinity in that song. So he's a soldier saying, it's implied he's a soldier sneaking out before his love wakes up. So they don't have to say goodbyes, and there's this sort of misjudged stoicism. I also think that there's like sometimes how, again, talking about purity, like the purity of an idea, how few words you can use to accurately describe a situation. And he says, as he's sneaking out across her front yard, there's a chest of drawers and broken wind chimes, and you just know exactly whose house that is and what that house looks like and where it is. And it's like it's incredibly concise songwriting, and it's really beautiful. But he's talking about heartbreak and stuff, but from in a very stoic, we're gonna like, we'll be okay, and I'll sneak out, and then we won't have to feel it, and we'll just have to kind of get on. And then he arrives at the train yard, and the hobos have their fires lit, as he describes, and it also feels like you've left that house and you're in a sort of very male realm. And then kind of out of nowhere, he just says, "And Jesus Christ, this goddamn rain, would someone put me on the train? I'll never kiss her lips again." But it's the Jesus Christ, this goddamn rain, and the way he sings it feels to me like the perfect embodiment of that. I think he was just complaining about the rain, and he's just burst into tears while saying it in front of his like buddies maybe, and it's just like just put me on the train. I can't physically get myself any further away from her. I think it's like I think it's an amazing thing to have described that in so few words so accurately.
And what is it about Patty's performance of it?
Just the delivery of that line is like a wail. It's like a true wail, and it's been very beautiful. And I think it's like, again, I'm sort of fascinated by the idea that I love Tom Waits' delivery. I love his performance, but that like almost a song like that, like almost needed a female voice to be able to like truly convey the complexity of that. Yeah, that one's just been in my head a lot recently. And then I needed to choose a Randy Newman song, and I could have just spent this whole time talking about my favorite Randy Newman songs that make me sad, but I think I chose Texas. What did I do?
Yeah, Texas Girl at the Funeral of Her Father. Yeah.
Which is a very like again, there's a lot of simplicity in lyric, and but it's, I guess it's like it's quite pure in its sadness compared to a lot of his stuff. There's so many layers of complexity because he's always performing from the point of view of other people, and quite often like these aren't good people, which I think is why I'm so in awe of him. I just think it's an amazing way to spend a career, just exploring other people's how other people might have arrived at these ways of feeling and thinking. It's a complex sadness quite often, like you're really empathizing with this character, and then they'll say something which shows that like this person is not a flawless person. So like in like some of his kind of classic songs like Marie, there's lines like, you know, you're hyper empathetic, and then he'll say like, yeah, I've been drinking, but I need to, is the line, but like implications of like that this person isn't necessarily the best person. But Texas Girl is just, it's like there's a purity to it, and there's the line Papa We'll Go Sailing is just like, it's like there's enough space left in it that anyone who sings it can make that mean something different. And yeah, I don't think anyone has chronicled aging better than him.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
he talks about aging, he talks about divorce, he talks about having kids, adult kids, like all these different things that are from his life, but they're always from an askew point of view, or like someone slightly different to him. He's like one of the great American literary figures. He may as well be like one of the great novelists. He's talking about things that he feels really passionately about morally by just trying to inhabit that person truthfully. And I
Truly
think that's
a receiver, huh? Like
truly a receiver, yeah. And
Yeah.
I just think that's like what a wild career choice. And I think it's I think he's just extraordinary. He's one of those people who, like, when I meet other songwriters, there are certain times where that you'll be saying like, oh, do you like this person? Have you heard this song and stuff? And then there's certain people where Randy Newman's one of those people where, like, if you say it and the other person gets it, like that's a whole evening of like, oh my god. So I don't feel like, considering how much I love him, I don't feel I could explain myself very well on that one, but maybe I love him too much.
Well, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah.
This was a different and fascinating conversation, and I love that you know what our cheat chords are. So that makes me very happy.
Yeah. If you ever need, you can just call, and if you ever
Okay.
need a quick cheat chord, I can just play it down the phone for you.
Okay, great. Yeah, and if you do the 6 Lethargies show again, I mean,
Yeah.
I think we're going to be on a plane headed out to go
I would
do
love
that.
to.
'Cause
I would love to.
that would be so amazing. I just think that's so fascinating.
But we
Yeah.
need you to do it focusing on sadness this time, please.
Just a pure sad one. Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll get to work.
Maybe that's too basic an emotion, but
Well, I could do
Anyway.
each movement could be a different category of sadness.
That's true.
One
Yeah.
of the different categories.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time and chatting with us.
Oh
And,
no, thank you for having me.
you speak very lovely and eloquently about sadness. So this is the perfect place. You're the perfect guest.
Thank you. I'll take that. Thank you so much.
thank you for joining us today on Sad Song Queens, because you always need a good cry. We will link these songs in our show page as well as our Spotify playlist. Please like, comment, and subscribe wherever you find podcasts. Huge thanks to Keaton Henson, our friends at PS, Tom Churchill, Aaron Wright, Charles Fitzgerald, Sophie Wolf, and Faber Music. Special production thanks to Stephanie Gangle, Avery Piantadozzi, Alex Fuchek, Jordan Lindsley, and our producer, May Rogers. Our theme song is All My Favorite Songs by Weezer, and our outro music is by Wyatt Rouse.